Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks so much for tuning in for this edition of On the Record. I am Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, and today's topic is about preventing stillbirths and increasing access to maternal health care. And so I am very, very excited to have with me today a very special guest, Emily Price. She is the founder of Healthy Birthday Incorporated, and you had a very personal experience that drove you to enter this arena. So Emily, welcome, and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Congresswoman Hinson, thank you so much for the time and for shining a light on such an important issue. I'm extremely grateful. So I'm the executive director of a nonprofit organization based in Iowa called Healthy Birthday Inc., as you mentioned. And our organization was founded out of loss. We were founded out of the loss of 5 baby girls who were all born still or died within a few days after birth in the early 2000s here in Iowa. And our 5 founders, I did not lose a baby to stillbirth, but my son was saved by a stillbirth prevention campaign that was started by our 5 founders. They created something called Count the Kicks, and it is a stillbirth prevention campaign that has helped reduce Iowa's stillbirth rate by 32% in a decade, while the rest of the country has remained relatively stagnant. Within
That's
that,
an amazing number. I mean, 32%. What a great stat to be able to talk about.
Absolutely. It's something Iowa should be very proud of. And I know that it's something that you're very proud of and why you're helping co-lead and champion the Maternal and Child Health Stillbirth Prevention Act of 2022. It's extremely exciting and we're extremely grateful.
Yeah, and I'm thrilled to have a Democrat partner here in the House, Alma Adams from North Carolina, and we have a companion piece of legislation in the Senate. But this is really about drawing attention to the fact that stillbirths are still a reality for many mothers and many families. And we want to do everything we can to continue to not only spotlight this issue so that, like you said, Count the Kicks and how that helped you be aware of what you need to be in tune with your body during your pregnancy and how that saved the life of your child, but also that women have access to the care they need while they're pregnant and expecting, so that we don't have these situations continue to arise. And I was driven specifically as a mom myself, but as someone who's been working on women's healthcare policy for a long time. In Iowa's first congressional district, we have 6 counties that are considered to be maternal healthcare deserts, meaning they don't have the same access that someone else does, or they don't have access, period. And so I think it's important that no matter your zip code, that you have access to that care, and that care can truly be life-saving. So when you mentioned that reduction, Emily, in the number of stillbirths, I mean, that just has to make you so proud that getting this information out, spotlighting this issue so people can be empowered to monitor their own health and seek the care they need. That's just such a proud moment for your organization.
We're extremely proud, and we could not have done it without the help of Iowa Department of Public Health and birthing hospitals and doulas and midwives and home visitors throughout our state who have helped have these conversations about the importance of paying attention to your baby's movements in the 3rd trimester with expectant parents throughout our state. 1 out of every 169 pregnancies ends in stillbirth. So as you mentioned, stillbirth should be something that, maybe our great grandmothers went through that was, hundreds of years ago, but instead it's something that is still happening today. 23,500 babies are stillborn every year in this country. Racial disparities persist. For Black moms, 1 out of every 96 pregnancies in this country ends in stillbirth. That is unacceptable. And that's why we're so proud and excited that you're helping champion this issue, because of how many people this affects. The reason why you don't hear a lot about stillbirth is because it's still very taboo in this country for whatever reason. I mean, it's extremely devastating, the loss of a baby, and that's nearly full term or full term. The definition of stillbirth for people out there who may be listening that don't know is the loss of a baby at 20 weeks or greater. And so when we mention stillbirth, that 1 out of every 169 pregnancies, we're losing that many, a lot of babies 20 weeks or greater in pregnancy. And it's something that, Count the Kicks is helping reduce. And not only did we start in Iowa, but we're seeing progress in other states as well.
And that's an app people can download on their phone, right? I mean, can you tell us a little bit about Count the Kicks?
Yeah, absolutely. So what Count the Kicks does is it's an early warning system, and it's especially important in Iowa where we do have those maternity care deserts when you're not seeing your doctor perhaps as frequently, or it takes longer to get to your doctor if something might be going wrong with your pregnancy. ACOG, the American Congress of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, the leading OB association in this country, ranks Iowa dead last for access to OBs. So when you talk about moms in Iowa having to drive an hour, 2 hours to see their OB, that could be the difference between your baby getting here safely and your baby not arriving safely. And so Count the Kicks is an early warning system to help bridge that gap, especially in rural areas where you may not be seeing your provider as often. During COVID, so many appointments were moved to telehealth as well. And so Count the Kicks as an early warning system, what it does is it educates expectant parents to get to know their baby's normal movement patterns, to get to know that average amount of time it takes your baby to get to 10 movements, and also to get to know the strength of their movements in the third trimester. And the reason why this is important is because babies in the third trimester are similar to us as adults. When we don't feel well, if we are sick or not doing well, we become weaker. We want to lay on the couch, we want to lay in bed. Research shows that babies are the same in the third trimester. If they're not doing well, their movements are going to change. And that's why Count the Kicks and paying attention to your baby's movements are a way to bond with your baby, monitor your baby's health in the third trimester. So if you know it's normal for your baby, you're also going to know when normal starts to change. And you can call your provider, you can go to your birthing hospital. If you are an expectant parent in the third trimester and your baby's movements start to change, either a rapid decrease or a slow decrease or a rapid increase in your baby's movements, you need to go call your provider, go to your birthing hospital and let them know. And that's how babies are saved. We have 100 baby safe stories on our website, countthekicks.org. At least 40 of them are from Iowa families, but we've also saved babies in 27 states and 3 countries through this early warning system.
And it's just amazing. And I was sharing this with you, Emily, when we talked before, but I have a friend who just lost a baby in October, and just the heartbreak that they felt as a family. They had already built out his room, and I saw her tell her story on Facebook, and it was absolutely heartbreaking. I'm sure, she wants to make sure that never happens to another family. And so that's why it's so important. Number one, that we're talking about this issue. It's hard to believe that in 2022, we would be saying that stillbirth is a taboo issue, but it is. People love to celebrate the milestone of announcing a pregnancy and then delivering a baby, but talking about the loss is really, really important too. And we obviously want to do everything we can to support families who are experiencing that loss, but absolutely use every tool in our toolbox to make sure that we can limit the number of families that happens to in the future. That's why tools like what you're talking about, Count the Kicks, are so important, and what your organization is doing to spotlight this issue, Healthy Birthday. The numbers, that it's sad to say that we even have that many still happening. More than 23,500 stillborn every year. That's why you have this bipartisan effort here in Congress to stand up for parents, to stand up for babies. We want to make sure we're doing everything we can to empower people to get the health care that they need to keep those babies safe and to deliver healthy babies and have healthy moms too, because that's obviously a really important part of the conversation as well.
Absolutely. In fact, there's research that shows if you deliver a stillborn baby, you are now at 4 to 5 times greater risk of losing your own life as a mother. And so there is an intrinsic link between stillbirth and maternal mortality and maternal morbidity. And it is another reason and more proof that Count the Kicks not only helps save babies and get babies here safely, but it does help improve the lives of mothers and the health of mothers. We have loads of stories that we've collected from moms across this country that tell us, and their doctors tell us, that not only did the Count the Kicks app and getting to know their baby's movements alert them to an issue with their baby, but it alerted them to an issue with their own health. Things like a placental abruption or an infection of the uterus or maternal fetal hemorrhage. Count the Kicks can help detect those kinds of issues that not only could lead to a stillborn baby, but could lead to really dramatic, awful health outcomes for moms as well. And so that's why that's why this legislation is so important. And it is weird that it's still so taboo, but by you taking a stand and talking about this, talking on Facebook, you and I, for this time together, is helping bring it out of the shadows. And that's exactly what we need to do, because no family should go through this alone. No family should go through this period, but they certainly shouldn't go through alone or feel like they shouldn't be able to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a kind of companion and side note here, I've introduced a piece of legislation also to allow families who do experience a stillbirth loss to actually access FMLA, the Family Medical Leave Act, to be able to take off time to grieve and to recover. Because again, if you've suffered a stillbirth loss as a mother, you've experienced a pregnancy no different than someone who would have delivered a healthy baby. So we want to make sure we're supporting families through these tough times, but doing everything we can to make sure that this never happens to another family. So I'm thrilled to be a partner and to work with your organization, Emily. So where can people who are watching today find more information, get involved, and most importantly, what do they need to download so they know that they can be empowered to track their baby's movements as well?
Thank you for the opportunity. If you are an expectant parent or you know and love an expectant parent, we invite you to go to countthekicks.org, and you can also download our app in any app store, and it's just called Count the Kicks. You can download it. It's totally free. There are no ads, no pop-ups. It's available in 14 languages, and we're adding more every year. And so again, totally free. You get to know your baby's normal movement patterns. It shows you in a graph your baby's normal movement patterns. So if things start to change, you'll notice the graph change, that it may go, it will go way up if your baby's movements start to change. And that's the signal that you need to call your provider. If you would like to learn more about the legislation that is out there, the Maternal and Child Health Stillbirth Prevention Act, you can go to healthybirthday.org and click on advocacy, or you can follow Healthy Birthday or Count the Kicks on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And those are great places to learn more about the legislation. We invite you to, if Congresswoman Hinson is not your member of Congress and you're watching today, to reach out to your member of Congress and encourage them to support this legislation. Title V of the Social Security Act, since it was written in 1935, never mentioned the word stillbirth or stillbirth prevention. It mentioned so many other things, important issues like infant mortality and SIDS and childhood cancer as things that this country in Title V funds, but it never mentioned stillbirth or stillbirth prevention until Congresswoman Hinson and Congresswoman Adams and Senator Merkley and Senator Cassidy said, we need to change that. And so that's why that is so important. And what it does is signal to decision makers across the country and state health departments that stillbirth and stillbirth prevention are things that need to be addressed within your state and within your state health department. And things like Count the Kicks could be fully funded and fully launched in your state if this were to be added and changed. Some states are already using it, but there are still way too many states that don't realize that stillbirth and stillbirth prevention can be used through Title V and their maternal child health block grants. So we're so grateful that you're working to change this.
Well, happy to spotlight it and to be proactive about this prevention tool and technique. And so, Emily, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Thank you for coming on today to highlight the importance of this awareness and the importance of stillbirth prevention, because we do know this is affecting far too many families. And it is time that Congress gets with the times and updates our policy to reflect that of what our people back home are saying, which is that they want to help stand up for healthy moms and healthy babies. So, Emily, thanks for joining us for On the Record, and thank you to everybody for watching. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.